Well. I am not seeing names popping up, but I'm seeing the little eyeball with numbers. So, hi everybody who's here. As soon as I see who we've got here, I will eyeball with numbers. So, hi everybody. Let's try that again. I'll call you out as I see your name pop up. Hey, Amy. Thanks for joining. Sharon, hey. Oh my gosh, I missed my fair peoples. Thanks for joining. Oh my gosh. Brandy, hi. Welcome. Thanks for joining. This is going to be an interesting night. Like, my computer is completely bogged down. It's insane. And I'm working off of too small... my phone, my iPad, and it's not really, you know, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I always do, right? Right? So I gotta tell you guys, this week has been incredibly long. And I think that might have something to do with me not having had a day off in like 10 days or something. Maybe more. I don't know. Hey Mike, thanks for joining. Oh my goodness. So I need to just share a little bit with you guys, a bit of this journey, because going from doing live workshops and being in front of people a couple of times. Hey Chris, thanks for joining. Oh my gosh, more fair people. I love you guys. Thank you. Going from being in front of live audiences and doing this to like doing everything in my living room online is a huge difference. It's just so very different that I was not prepared for any of this. Like, you think about online stuff. Hey Suzanne, thanks for joining. And I think my perception of it was that this is going to be way easier because I can just do it and put stuff out, and that really is not the case. I started a new class this week, and doing the lecture for that was probably one of the hardest things I've done because there is nobody there giving me feedback. Hey Dave, thanks for joining. So that has become a really huge, not huge. It's very different, and running the two shows, you know, between this one and what's on the menu, and the learning curve there. It's the technology learning curve. Like, the filming and making the stuff is not difficult for me at all. It's the editing and the post-production and the lag time in rendering videos and getting them to upload, and like everything's done and ready to go, and then I gotta wait an hour for it to upload to whatever site that it's on. So managing that has been an interesting journey, and I'm enjoying the journey and I'm ready for a break. But there's so much exciting stuff going on, and I'm finding that this is getting a lot of response from you guys and from other people. I gotta tell you guys, I can't thank you enough for all the likes and the shares and everything that you're doing, particularly with this show. So what week are we on? What show? Are we on like the 6th show, the 5th show? I don't know. I lost count. Honestly, it's kind of a miracle that I remembered to show up tonight. Just the way this week has gone, I maybe a couple of hours ago went, oh gosh, it's tea time this week. As new as this show is, and this format and this forum and everything that I'm muddling my way through, we went from, I think we had like 4 or 5 viewers on the first episode to the stats showed 180 views on the last show, which is so awesome. Like, that just is incredible to me, and actually, like, I know that's really small compared to some of the stuff that some of these like internet influencers are doing, but to me that is huge. Like, to have 200 people look at what I'm doing, and it's, you know, it's not just all live, it's the replays and people starting watch parties and stuff like that, even after the fact, that I'm like, wow, cool beans. It feels really good to be able to put out this content and have people actually watching it and responding to it and actually getting something from it. So thank you guys so much for being part of that community. This would not be anything without you guys. Like, I can sit here and talk in my living room all I want. That's not really what matters. What matters is that the information is relevant and usable and speaks to people So I have to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys jumping on and supporting this project the way that you have. I'm so grateful for that. And I will tell you right now, being that I'm not really sure what day it is for the most part, and how my work schedule has been, I am a little bit slap happy. So, you know, hey Joe, thanks for joining. Bear with me. I'm gonna get through this content, which is something that I've been speaking on for years, but I've never broken anything down like this about immunity. I've just kind of word vomited on people at workshops and in classes, and that's been kind of where it's at for me. So we're starting our bad rap series. I talked about immunity in general last week, and we had a trivia question, which was, at what temperature does the body reach its power pellet zone, or the point where our immune system gets supercharged and really starts actively hunting down bacteria and viruses and other invaders? And we had, I put this out there not only on the show, but then I made another post because after the show we had, for like a week, we had no right answers. So I put it back out there, and we had 2 correct answers. And I already did the drawing for it. So at the end of the show, I will announce the winner for that door prize, which was a sample kit from our sponsor, Rusted Leaf Tea Company. And you can find them on Facebook at Rusted Leaf Tea Company. Also, they're doing a bunch of live shows now that it's a bit warmer and things are starting to open back up. So make sure you look for them. Like, share, subscribe, and if you're a tea drinker, by all means, indulge and dive in. They've got some really great tea flavors. And the owner, Dave, is actually, he went to culinary school and is formulating these teas himself. This is not some big company. They're local and small business, and really great product, I have to say. Like, I'm really picky about my tea, and so to like find a tea that I just can't stop talking about how excited I am about this particular flavor and how much I enjoy it, is saying something. I'm kind of I have routines and I kind of stick with them, and that's just what I do. So getting me to like be excited about new stuff is kind of far and few between, especially when it comes to teas. Now, food, that's a different story. I'll eat almost anything. But I completely forgot where I was going with that. So obviously I've said what I needed to say, and what I thought I was going to say is not important. So let's just jump right into heating up the parlor tonight, talking about fevers, because this one right here is one of the most underutilized immune functions that we have, simply because we are taught that it's bad. And that's kind of the premise of this bad rap series, is that we have these immune functions that have jobs. There's a purpose for them. And we've been taught or socialized into believing that they're bad, that you have a fever and that's a bad thing. When in truth, all of these immune responses are an indication that your immune system is working properly and doing its job. And fever is the one that we absolutely need to support because of how it works with our immunity. Hey Linda, thanks for joining. So a fever's job is to create an environment. We're about to be joined by a baby here. Hi buddy, come on. A fever's job is to create an environment in which any invaders, bacteria, viruses, and anything else of that brand, do not have a hospitable environment in which to operate. So when we get to that power pellet zone, at those temperatures, bacteria, viruses, there's a couple things that happen there. One is that they slow down. Their metabolism slows down. They simply don't operate well in high heat temperatures. You guys have probably seen people who are like this. Hey Heather, thanks for joining. In that, it gets hot and they're just really slow. They don't want to do anything. It's too much effort to move around. It's just too hot. And that's how bacteria and viruses are. Now, the other thing that happens with a fever to those invaders is that because they don't operate well at those temperatures, they also can't reproduce. And many of them will simply die off. They're not hardy enough to thrive in that environment. So the high heat in itself helps us to kill off and disable those invaders. If it's not moving well, it's easy to hunt down, which is what our immune cells do, our killer T cells. And if it can't reproduce, then once its life cycle is over, that's it. There are no more of them. And of course, if they die off, then it cannot reproduce. And once it's gone, there are no more of them. So simultaneously as all of that is happening, our immune cells get supercharged. They become Pac-Man on the power pellet. That's why I call this our power pellet zone. And what will happen then is even as we're ramping up to this, you know, before we get into that optimal zone of our fever, is that, you know, they're kind of going along and they're reaching out a little bit and they're grabbing stuff as it comes along. But at that power pellet zone point, then these T cells are fully activated and they begin to run around and actively hunt down the invaders. And if you get a chance, I want you to look up, just do a search on the internet. Maybe it's on YouTube. I don't remember where I saw it. It's been years. But there is, there's a video out there on T cells hunting. And they actually, they look kind of like octopi, right? Where you've got this mass, and then there are tentacles that just grow out of this thing as it goes around and it hunts and as it finds stuff, rather than just kind of going, oh yeah, you're right there. It actually reaches out and grabs stuff and pulls it into the center of it, like an octopus feeding food into its beak, and devours these bacteria, viruses, and other invaders. And then will excrete it out, like it breaks it all down and excretes it out, so that our waste plant can then finish up the duty of getting rid of the waste from that. Hey Jim, thanks for joining. And so what we often are told to suppress is the beginning of our body ramping up into optimal immune response. Hey Dave, thanks for joining. So the big question was, where is that power pellet zone? Now we're taught to suppress a fever at about 101. However, we don't get to that power pellet zone until 103 to 104. All right. And the big thing that people are concerned about in getting into those high temperatures is that there's going to be some kind of brain damage, particularly with small children. So what is the best thing to do to support a fever? First, you want to make sure that we are allowing the body to stay as hot as possible. Brian, thanks for watching. By wrapping up and sweating it out. You can support the brainstem. You can prevent any damage to the brain, which is usually unnecessary. Hey Rachel, thanks for joining. However, for small children, you know, parents get concerned, and it makes sense. I understand you want to protect your little ones. So the best way to do that is to take a cool compressed cloth and place it at the base of the neck, right below the suboccipital bone, at the base of the skull, where the brain stem kind of comes down, and keep that area cool while wrapping up the rest of the body and raising the core body temperature. And allow them to sweat it out. Yes, at those temperatures, you are miserable. Yes, at those temperatures, you don't want to do anything. Yes, at those temperatures, children are cranky. However, if we suppress it because of those small things during that time, we are actually cutting our immune system off. We're cutting the legs off of our immune system because we're not allowing it to fully activate and do what it needs to do. The other thing that we need to do during that time is make sure that you are staying well hydrated. One of the best ways to do that is actually with hot herbal teas. Things like elderberry and dandelion root and, what's the other one I use? For small children, chamomile tea is fantastic. Also, burdock root. All of those are fantastic immune supporters, and so drinking hot tea helps to raise the core body temperature, again, trying to keep it in that power pellet zone, while keeping the body hydrated and providing extra support to the immune system. I told you there was going to be a point where I just completely lost my train of thought today. You know, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to some questions while I try to get myself back together here. And I apologize, guys. Like I said, it's been a really long week, and I'm kind of slap happy and really grateful to be here. So I'm going to open it up for some questions, and I'm sure something will come to me at some point here very quickly. You know, so the thing about a fever with respect to making sure that you're keeping it in those high temperatures and you're miserable is that what that means is the body tells you you need to be resting. And if for any reason you push yourself past that, hey Rob, thanks for joining. If you push yourself past that point, making yourself do more when your body's telling you to rest, you are going to prolong the sickness and actually deplete your body more. So Amy wants to know, when do you intervene if it doesn't break? That's a great question. I have never had that be an issue. Having a fever of 103 to 104, as long as you're taking the appropriate precautions, staying hydrated, keeping the base of the brainstem cool, having that go for a day or two is not harmful, and typically within a couple of days it will break on its own. The key really is to support the body in that and not suppress it. If the body is running a high temperature for a long period of time, like for days, it needs it. You know, you got it? Are you set? Are we good? Okay. You need to just remember that our body produces these symptoms for as long as we need them. So the fact that people are concerned because the fever won't break, they're just not being patient enough, in my opinion. There are some instances, you know, when you get up to 104, 105 degree temperature, those are times to be extra vigilant and cautious. Again, I still trust in the body's ability to do what it needs to do, and you know, at those temperatures, maybe the occasional ice bath would be appropriate. And in small children, making sure that you are keeping a fresh, cool cloth at the base of the neck, constantly changing that out to keep the coolness there. That's helpful. But as far as artificially breaking a fever, that absolutely interrupts the healing process that's going on in the body. And so if we're talking about supporting our immunity as best we possibly can, part of that means that we are trusting that our body knows what it's doing, that the work that it's doing is good work, and it's not doing it to harm us. It's doing it to protect us from something that is trying to harm us. That was a great questioning. All right, tea break. What are you guys drinking? Like, I don't get to see you. This is so hard. So, what are you drinking tonight? What's your favorite cup of brew? My favorite story regarding a fever actually has to do with a friend of mine, who is really awesome at just like sliding in a little dig here and there. He's not fully on board with Tom, thanks for joining. He's not fully on board with all of the natural stuff yet. Gives me the respect that I would expect from people in my circle, in that, you know, we can disagree and still respect each other. So thanks for sharing, guys. Oh my gosh, awesome. Decaf Firefly chai tea. All right, water, lots of water. Good job, guys. I'm so proud. That's awesome. So he was also at one point my trainer, back when I actually used the equipment at the gym and was, you know, active in that arena. And so we were actually in a training session. I'm on the treadmill warming up, and he's telling me about being sick, and I was like, so the best thing for you to do in that situation is to just wrap it up and, you know, wrap up and sweat it out. And he's like, you know, I covered up and fell asleep on the couch and like sweated the whole time that I slept, but I felt better when I woke up. And what's fun about those kind of interactions is that for me, if I just like sit there and smile and like, okay, yeah, I know, that's what I was saying. Then at some point, I will hear that person regurgitating what I said to someone else. Which is fun. I love it when people get into this and they learn something and then it feels like it's theirs, like they own it, and then they share it forward. It's like dropping a pebble in the pond. So that's fun. All right. What other questions do you guys have? And not just around fevers. I mean, you can ask me anything around naturopathy, midwifery, projects that are going on. You name it. What do you want to know? I think I managed to run out of content like really fast tonight. I'm sorry about that. I have no idea what time it is, as usual. Maybe I need to keep a timer. Pam, thanks for joining. We are currently in the Q&A session of this. Really, any question that you have regarding fevers or really anything natural medicine and holistic living. Rachel wants to know what topics will be covered in herbology for midwives. Thank you for segueing into that lovely plug, Rachel. So starting July 9th, we do have another herbology class starting that has been requested for quite some time, and that is herbology for pregnancy and birth professionals. What I will be covering in that is which herbs are appropriate and safe during pregnancy, and even incredibly beneficial, as well as during labor, delivery, and postpartum, and how to use them. So, that's going to be a 3-week course. It is $55, and I have the ads almost ready to put out. So I'm expecting that I will get those out at some point tomorrow, or even over the weekend. I'm going to try to take at least part of a day off this weekend. I'm going to try to take a couple of parts of days off and like get a whole day in there somehow, even if it's split up. The thing that I'm really going to focus on is appropriate usage. I hear a lot, especially from birth professionals, about training that was with the herbals or recommendations from other people with herbals or homeopathics or Bach flower therapies, which I don't use really during that, to help with stresses during birth. Things like, you know, what if the placenta is not detaching, which, again, my philosophy on most of that stuff is just be patient. Hey, Victoria, thanks for joining us. However, I will talk about some of the herbs that we can use to support the body and making sure that those things maintain normalcy in pregnancy. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the difference between variations of the norm in pregnancy and deviations from the norm in pregnancy. Because I'm offering this course to pregnant moms or really anybody who just wants to learn the information, as well as birth professionals, I'm going to include some information that maybe birth professionals already know, but it's always nice to review, and those who are not working in the field would benefit from. Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I am aware that I deserve a day off. Thank you. Suzanne, yes, he is, all of the toys are in the chair right now. This is his MO. Like, he's a toy dragon. He hoards them. And then his sister will just sulk off into a corner somewhere. I'm actually surprised that she's not over here, because she finished the Namis in her toy. Suzanne wants to know, are there any teas or spices that will help with joint pain in this damp weather? Yes, but. So, and I'm responding that way because the response to any question that asks me what to do for a specific symptom always gets the same answer, which is it depends. Hey, Danny, thanks for joining. And that's because the reason that you have joint pain, and I know I'm gonna like nip this in the butt right now. I'm aware that you have inflammation. We're gonna cover inflammation next show. However, why do you have the inflammation? What's really causing it? What's the underlying cause? And so many other factors that are involved in that saying, okay, this is what your body needs to support what's going on for you to help mitigate that symptom is impossible to do without doing an assessment. One thing that I can say is that there are a couple of things that everyone can do to help rebalance their body immediately, and these are general across the board. Number one, make sure that you are getting enough hydration. Half your current body weight in ounces, and then add about 10%. So that means that if that means a 300-pound person needs 150 ounces of water, or a 200-pound person requires 100 ounces of water, you can do the math with your own weight. And then add about 10 to 15% on top of that, because if you're having chronic degenerative symptoms, which pain from inflammation is that. Hey, Penny, thanks for joining. Then you are dehydrated on some level, and you need the extra water, because not only is your body lacking in water, it's also trying to do a cleansing and healing process, which requires some additional hydration. The other thing that you can do is really pay attention to how much processed sugar and grains that you're consuming, and eliminate the processed sugar and reduce your grain intake to less than 10% of your total diet. Replace those things with raw, fresh fruits and vegetables, the whole rainbow of them, and you will see significant difference in your body's responses in just a few weeks. For those of you just joining, I have managed to get through all of my content on fever that I had for the night and fully slide into my complete brain fatigue and have simply opened up the floor for questions from anyone regarding anything on fevers. Feel free to ask whatever question you have. If I covered it earlier, that's okay. I'll regurgitate the information. I will reiterate it for anyone who has those questions. And anything else that you have questions on regarding natural living, holistic health, naturopathy, midwifery, you name it. I mean, hey Penny, thanks for joining. I never buy the quiet toys. Essential oils for fevers. Rachel, thank you. Not specifically. There are oils that can be used which help boost immunity and help to support that, but there's nothing specifically to... I guess you know what? Let me just stop right there and Rachel ask what specifically do you mean by essential oils for fevers? In what capacity? What's the expected outcome for using those essential oils in conjunction with a fever? You are welcome, Suzanne. Okay, so Rachel says, I've read that peppermint is cooling and reduces temperature. Yes and no. So actually the peppermint oil has a lot of stimulant properties, particularly for the immune system. And while it does have a cooling effect and can sometimes have an effect on body temperature, using it in conjunction with a fever actually, so this is sort of like using any product to break a fever falls along the same lines of take a Tylenol. Using a natural product to affect the same response that you would expect to get from a pharmaceutical is taking a natural product used in naturopathy to support the body's natural healing abilities and support that process, and trying to apply it in a way that is filtered through a philosophy that says anything that's wrong with your body has an outside cause and needs to be overridden or needs to be what's the word I'm looking for here? Hey Renee, thanks for joining. Needs to be fixed with some sort of procedure or product, which is an allopathic philosophy. And I think that's a really good point to bring up, Rachel. Thank you for that question. So as far as essential oils that may have a direct impact on lowering temperature, I don't recommend essential oils in that manner because There is the allopathic view of healing, or treatment or medicine, and then there's the naturopathic side of it. And they are two separate philosophies. One is not better than the other. We are different with different strengths and weaknesses and different approaches to healing. And what often happens with natural remedies is that there is an attempt to apply the medical philosophy of, oh, it's a thing and we need to do this or use this to fix it. Whereas the natural approach to that is, oh, this is going on. Why is this going on? Okay, what do we need to do to support your body's natural healing ability to rebalance what's going on? So in the medical paradigm, we have this idea of an entity, a disease or a disorder, a thing. And in the naturopathic paradigm, we have the view of these sorts of things as imbalances, creating states of dis-ease or disorder that require support in rebalancing or reharmonizing. And so the use of any kind of natural remedy to correct a symptom is trying to take something that belongs in the naturopathic realm where we support in rebalancing and apply it to an entity to fix. Does that make sense? Hope that made sense. Much like in obstetrics and midwifery, you know, there's a difference in that oftentimes when we're dealing with pregnant women, we recognize that a certain change in labor has to do with a variation in the norm or something that's just normal and we know how to handle it. Whereas if that were to occur in the hospital, or let's say something didn't occur in the hospital, like everybody's favorite failure to progress, which in midwifery realm really equates to failure to wait. Hey Richard, hi Kathy, thanks for joining. And so the difference in that is that so in that scenario with a pregnant mom, if a mother doesn't progress at a certain rate within the hospital, she's given a diagnosis of failure to progress. Basically being told her body didn't do what it was supposed to do. When in reality, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's simply not doing it on their timeline. What happens in the medical field is that they're like, oh, well, it's just not functioning right, so we need to intervene. And then that sets up an environment which is ripe for other complications. Whereas on the natural side of it with midwifery, we would say, okay, you know, this is just how your labor is going, and we can do some things to try to support it and help it to stay productive, but not go in and make it happen, because that'll happen on its own. So the same thing happens when we're using, when we get into this mindset of what's good for this symptom, because the symptom is not the problem. The symptom is a response by the body to the problem, and we need to understand the problem in order to apply the correct support in rebalancing so that the symptom goes away. If you correct the cause, the symptom goes away. And there was a comment in there. So yes, return to homeostasis. We're always looking to bring things back to balance and rebalance and support in that rebalancing. The body knows how to do that. All we have to do is learn how to be patient, because we're all very much not patient. We live in a fast food society where everything is instant gratification, and I want to be better right now. Instead of recognizing that we have, there are times when we're just going to be sick. And I like to look at, oh, I'm sick, not as I'm sick, but my body needs this time to put the extra energy into defense and support, rather than into these other activities, so that whatever it is that's creating the need for these symptoms does not take over my body and ultimately kill me or do serious damage. When we look at, oh, I'm sick as an inconvenience, or, because we don't feel good. We don't feel good. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to get up and go anywhere. We don't, we just, there's nothing in that where we're like, well, this is great. It's the exact opposite. Hey, Deb, thanks for joining. It's the exact opposite, where like we feel horrible and we just want it to stop. We want to go back to feeling normal and feeling good, rather than being kind to ourselves and giving ourselves latitude, understanding that these responses are normal within the body and all part of the healing process. That has to happen. And if we override it and push ourselves, we're actually doing more damage. So that's my soapbox on that. Thank you for that question, Rachel, in the comments. I appreciate it. Brought up some very good stuff there. Thank you. Crystal, thanks for joining. For those of you who have just joined during my little rant or shortly after, we are in the Q&A session of tonight's show. And so the floor is open for any questions regarding fevers, how they work, the best way to support them, thoughts on them, or anything else. You guys know how I do. Like, just don't ask me weird questions. So, the floor is open. Ask away. Crystal, thank you so much, honey. I'm proud of you guys too, and I miss you. You're awesome. Hug and kiss all the kids, and say hi to Kelly for me. What's really interesting is, like, I see the little eyeball up there that tells me how many people are watching, but then when I go back and I look at the metrics after the show, it's always, like, I'm always blown away. Right now it says there's like 11 people watching, but when I go back later, like right after the show, and I do the metrics and I share everything, it's always exponentially higher than that. So I'm not really sure where that's coming from or why, but I mean, it's huge difference and interesting. You guys are being really good. I'm very proud. Yes, you did a good job. Come on. Come on. We're going to do a quick time check here. All right, we got about 10 minutes left. So I am going to, what do I need to tell you guys about? The garden project. Oh my goodness. So we've gotten a lot of great response in the community from people here in the garden project. I've had a number of people come by and tell me, thank you for doing this. Thank you for keeping that, up and for, taking on the project. Hi, Samantha. Thanks for joining. I also, have had people ask, if they could plant in the garden, which is fantastic. And I have to give a special thank you shout out to David Puz, who has been out here almost every night, mostly by himself because I've been chained to my computer this week, pulling weeds and clearing out garden beds, and in the small amount of time that I've managed to spend in the garden at the same time as him, giving me really good advice on how to deal with the overabundance of weeds that I was completely unprepared for dealing with. So thank you so much for that hard work, Dave. I would not be anywhere near where we are at with this project without your help. Also, so excited. I checked out, so we have a kiwi plant in the garden. Did you guys know you could grow kiwi in Northeast Ohio? I didn't know you could grow kiwi in Northeast Ohio, but we have a kiwi plant and it is flowering and there are little berries forming. I'm so excited. What else do we have going on, kids? What's new? What else is new? There's a new episode of What's on the Menu dropping not this Saturday, but next Saturday, and we are doing phase 2 of chocolate and sweets. There was so much response to all of that that I had to break that particular group, which, by the way, was the #1 challenge food in the survey that I sent out for you guys. That was the #1 food that people said they really struggled with eliminating when they were trying to adopt a healthier diet. And so we've got that coming up, and I'm going to make raw chocolate on that episode. I'm going to teach you guys how to make your own chocolate bars with good, healthy, raw chocolate. I think when people told me that chocolate was their downfall, they thought I was going to give them something to cut the chocolate out, and I'm doing a bunch of stuff with chocolate in it, just the good kind of chocolate that's nutritious and healthy and gives you all of the essential fatty acids and magnesium and minerals and vitamins and good stuff that is in whole, raw, healthy chocolate. So we're gonna do that. Deep dive herbology started tonight, and that we are diving into dandelion. Crystal, no, it's not just fever related. Any questions that you have? So we're deep diving into dandelion. This is the first week. We're going to have 4 weeks total. The beautiful thing about how these courses are set up is that they're, I'm going through Teachable, and the content is there forever. So when you purchase access to this course, you have it forever, and you can go at your own pace. So you can log in and do one part of this week's lesson and then come back later and do another part of it, and so on and so forth. Also, I'm keeping you guys active. For those of you who have taken my live classes, you know I like to get hands-on, and we've got hands-on stuff. I'm going to make you get dirty. And this is the perfect time of year to do it, especially with all the lovely dandelions. And bonus, so happy accident in the garden. We have one raised bed that was completely infested with dandelions and is basically full of them right now. So I have my own little crop of dandelions in the community garden, and I'm pretty sure that we're just going to leave it that way. Like, I'm just going to let that particular bed be the dandelion bed and go with it. We've had a lot of herbs donated, so we'll get those in there as well. I will drop the link for the dandelion class, and as soon as I have the link active, I will drop the link for the herbology for pregnancy and birth professionals as well, and blast that out for everybody. You can pre-register for that class as well. So we'll get that info out to you. I feel like I'm forgetting something. All right, Crystal. I just want to read the comment, kids. Stop. No. 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 All right, so as far as memory help, Crystal, again, here's the interesting part of this for me, is that when people say memory, that has so many different things. Is it cognitive, like comprehension, or getting your words lost in the middle of a sentence, or strictly just memory? you know, like short-term memory, hey, I made this appointment and I completely forgot about it, or other things like that. Really need to dive in a little bit deeper on exactly what that is for you. And then I know I sound like a used car salesman, because the answer really is always, it depends. We need to find the underlying cause for that. I will say that dehydration is the number one cause of cognitive fatigue or brain fog or memory loss in that arena. So I would start with the hydration, but to get a real, absolutely, this is what would work for you, this would be beneficial, that requires an assessment. So you can always reach out and we can set that up if you'd like. I hope that helped. I think I have actually like covered all of the update stuff. If not, you know, I'll put a blast on Facebook, but you are welcome, Crystal. Thank you for joining and for your participation. Appreciate you guys being here. We are starting to see a nice influx of women on the midwifery side of things, looking for midwives, and so my schedule is picking up a little bit, and it is possible that in the future, though not anytime in the near future, but like fall and then going into winter and next year, some of these tea times will be pre-recorded. I'm going to try and have a couple just in the can, so that in the event that I get called out to catch a baby and it happens to be on a Thursday night, you guys will still get your tea time. I will go back and look at all the questions and get back to everyone, reply as best I can to that once my job is done there. It's an exciting time, and you know, this is you know, the fall. When I was a little more active in it, I noticed that I did have trends where I would see a lot more people from like the end of March into April, May, and a little bit into June, and then I would have a lull until like September, and then September through November were really heavy months for me, and then I might have a lull in December or so, and it would kind of start all over again. So I am preparing for that, since I have actively put myself back into the midwifery field. I took a bit of a hiatus when I was working with the school on that project, since that relationship has ended. However, I opened it back up, and we're the schedule is beginning to fill up beautifully. So yeah, there's that. All right, so we have a few more minutes here. I'm just gonna leave the floor open to some questions, and let you guys, you know, sky's the limit here. Whatever questions you may have, I will answer them to the best of my ability in this format. Hi, come on, buddy. Lay down. Lay down. You guys have been very good. I am incredibly proud of these two who have managed to serenade us in the last two shows with their protectiveness. They were very good tonight. Very proud of them. Right? Go babies. You too, Emmy. You're a good girl. All right, we are at the top of the hour, guys. Thank you so much for joining me again on your Thursday night. I appreciate you coming into the parlor and spending time with me, listening to me babble on. And I especially appreciate the interaction and the questions, and you guys just showing up. That means the world. Until next time, 2 weeks from now, we will be back. We will be talking about inflammation in this Bad Rap series. Which is going to be about 4 or 5 episodes, maybe 6. We'll see. I don't know. It may go on forever. We'll just see what keeps coming to me. In the meantime, remember to be kind to yourselves and to each other. See you next time.